In this episode, I'm going to be talking about the lazy loading, routing, and some of the Angular material components and how to incorporate them. And this is the view that you're going to be working with. We'll see how to make this UI. We'll be using several libraries apart from the Angular material. So let's get started on this. I'm not going to do a live coding. I'm going to simply explain the stuff that I have done. So first thing first, you can remember the last application. I have defined the first basic app component. Now I have defined another TypeScript class that contains the routing. So I have named it as app.route.ts. It's basically an ng module. This ng module has something called a router module, which is from Angular routes. So we will be registering the root routes. That means when the first user comes, he will be choosing one of the routes from here. So if I have so we will be registering the root routes. So Angular module root routes, we're going to be giving these routes. So the routes has route is an array of routes. So in this array we have to define some objects. First thing is the path. Path means where the user will be landing on. So if they are not defining any URL, for instance localhost 4200, this is the starting point, and when user comes to this URL, that's localhost 4200, we are telling Angular to load children. So this is the way of Angular defining a lazy load. If you define a component here and you give a component name, then it will be not lazy loaded, that would be eagerly loaded. But lazy loading concepts comes with the with this keyword load children. So load children will take a separate module to be loaded. In my case, I have defined a separate module called login. I will show you how I did it. But remember, when you are lazy loading, there are several things to be concerned. First thing first, this is a string. Okay, this string should take the whole URL path from the app location. Okay, that's the basic condition for lazy loading. From the app location, we have to define the module, the path to the module. So in app directory, I have directory called login. Then I have defined another module called login.module. In that module, I have a class called login.module. So the way I am defining is app, the directory, and the module name. The module name is login.module. You can see the module name reside here. You don't have to specify the TypeScript extension here, .ts. You don't need that. You just need the module name only. Then there is this hashtag and the class name. So inside this module, you can have different or several modules. To define which module we are going to be using, you have to give the exact class name. In here, the class name is login module. So I have given the login module. So what will happen is, when I come to the root of our application, it will automatically lazy load the login module. So if you have different path other than login, those things, if you define as load children, they won't be loading, since you are only interested in the root of your directory. Load children will only load this module. So to create a module like this, you can use the Angular CLI built-in commands. So if you go into a terminal and you want to generate a module, you just simply type ngGM. So ng means the Angular CLI command, G stand for generate, M for module, and whatever the module name you like. So I already generated a module called login, so if I hit enter, that will cause some error, so I'm not going to do that, but this is a simple command to generate a module. Once the module is generated, you will only see the module TS in your application path. So I also need some login component to be created, so I can create the login component inside the login module, just typing the same thing in C stand for component. Where I want to generate is, I want to generate within the login, so I will say login, then I put a /, so it will create the component inside the login directory that I have defined earlier. The login directory will be created upon when you are creating this Angular module from the command that we execute before. So it will generate this Angular component, login component.ts, login component spec, login component HTML, and login component CSS file from the component command. Once you created those things, next thing you have to do is, even within the login you can have multiple routes. So by hand you have to create this login.route.ts by right clicking and create a new file. In login.route.ts, what you have to do is, you have to define the routes for the login module, not for the root but for the login module. So each this login module will be exactly same to the app.route.ts, but simple change, the notable change is, in app.route there was for root, but in login.route it's for children. Since the app.route is handling the root, you can't have two root routing, so the login has this child routing. So the child routing has these routes. So the routes is somewhat similar, but you can see that without loading load children as a lazy load component, I am eagerly loading this component called the login component. So you can see this is an eager load that will load the component whenever you load the login module, or yes, when you hit this endpoint, the login component will be used. So the next thing you have to do is, you have to define these. Actually you should do the exact thing in the app.module.ts. You have to register the route in our module. So in here I have registered in my app.module I have registered app.route module. The app.route module is simply the root routes, so you have to import that as well in the app module. So the same goes with the login module. So in login module you have to import the login routes. So login route module I have imported, so the login module knows what to route. So other than that, the login module, we have to define what are the components that we are using. In here we are using the login component, that is this component we are using. So I have registered it under declarations in my ng module. So apart from that, I will be talking about the login screen over here that you can see. So it's a simple layout with bunch of CSS. So I have put a background image under assets, images bg.jpg. So that will be my background for the image which you are seeing right now, the flower. And And apart from that, they're just background properties that I'm setting up here and there, and the font size for the title and some color definitions in CSS. Nothing fancy in Angular, just plain old CSS. In login.html component, that you can see that there is a toolbar at top, right? So this toolbar is coming from Angular material toolbar. If you go to Angular material documentation side and the component section, you will find the basic where is the toolbar? Here in toolbar you can see MD toolbar. Just copy this MD toolbar, but the thing is Angular doesn't know about this component. You have to register that module, so I am going to be importing MD toolbar from Angular material. So I will be registering that inside my login module, right around imports of the Angular login module. So MD toolbar module is there, so I can use the Angular MD toolbar around here. So I have put some CSS and all the stuff, nothing fancy around here, but you can see that there is a special thing that I have done. My title is in this corner, and the other patient management system, the subtitle sort of, it's in the right hand corner. So how to keep a space between these two? So I'm going to be using something that I have installed previously. If you go to your package.json, you will see something Angular at flex layout. I have installed in an earlier version this flex layout dependency as a yarn install, or you can do it as npm install. Either way works. So if you go to login.component, you will see that first you have to register it. Of course, you have to register the flex layout modules from Angular flex layout. That is something very important. So you can use the flex layout stuff. So if you go to login component, you can see that I have a span with the class of care, and another span with fxflex. So fxflex is giving you the flex CSS framework. So fxflex will create space around these two spans. So it's somewhat similar to the Bootstrap grid system, but it's much more advanced. So you can use it anywhere. The Bootstrap system was like it was limited to 12, as I can remember, 12 sections, but in Flex you can do much more. So the toolbar is done. You can use fxflex flex to arrange your components or your elements, and you can see that I have nice code written down here that would essentially make this MD card into a center of the center. So I have put a nice I have put nice is it vertical? Oh yeah, nice vertical alignment here, as well as a horizontal alignment here. You can play around it. This fxflex and this one will make it vertically centered, and with this div sitting on the middle, so this one is responsible to make it vertical, and another one to make it horizontally center. So you can play around this fx value, just remove and see what will happen, and you will see that it will go right and down. So it's up to you to work with your imagination. And another thing that I have done is in the card, I have used in the card module. So if you go to the card here, you can see the simple card decoration. The import is in the card module, which I have imported in my login module, in the card module. And there are some inputs which which is using ND input. It's basically wrapping around the input, the core input section, core input element in normal HTML. So you can see the input, yes, in here, input, the form input in Angular material. All you have to do is again input AMD input module, as I have done here. And there are some styling going around here. You can play around with it. I'm not going to explain one by one. So with this done, and there are other things that I have done apart from this. That there is, I have introduced the Roboto Font into my application. In Angular, if you go to Angular material guideline, using Angular materials typography, you will see that you can import it straight from Google Fonts. But since I like this to be very fast without depending on internet, sometimes in my choice I would store these fonts locally so they can then call upon. So what I have done is I have used another install. If I go to my package.json, I can find that dependency, yes, Roboto font face. This will download the Roboto font in my Node module, but I have to say where the Angular application where you can find this. So again, I will go to the angular-cli.json file. In here, under style, you have to define the Roboto font face CSS. So I have defined the Roboto font face CSS like this. Once you insert something into Angular CLI, you will probably have to restart the application by terminating and starting it again. So that will take effect. And there's one more file that I have edited recently, that is the style.css. Style.css stands for the all the styles that can be applied across the whole application. So style.cs I have edit, and in my HTML and body and some site nav containers which I'll be using later, I have put the font family, and I have reduced the margin and all those stuff, and width and height I have make it 100%, and I have deliberately set the MD side nav to width 200. This is some optional. Also, I have imported the Angular material pre-built themes. You can actually use custom themes as it is described in these guides. It's theming Angular material. So you can see the you can use the pre-built themes, or you can use your own theme. In next episode, I will be implementing a custom theme. Perhaps it will be automatically included in this. It's pretty much straightforward. You just have to copy and paste these things in the theme.ts file and just import it as we did the Roboto font. So it's pretty much easy. For the laziness of this video, I just imported in my style.css. And that's pretty much it. I have not done that much of modification in this application. For the next video, I will be implementing a service that will be talking to the backend and issuing a token. But for right now, our Spring Boot application doesn't have any security setup. So most probably the next video will be setting up authentication server within the backend. So I'll be doing pre-coding, then I'll be explaining it to you guys, so it will save us some time. So hope you guys enjoyed this video, and see you next time.